But yeah, so this is the first event of our Educate series. We're very happy to be partnering up with Chainlink again to do a kind of a hackathon accelerator as well as a Educate series. So this is the first of 8 events. So looks like we are kind of let everyone in. So we'll go ahead and get started. Awesome, here we go. So as I mentioned before, we're very gracious to be doing this partnership with Chainlink. So this is the first of 8 educational sessions that we'll be putting on. I have the schedule on the next slide. So in case you're wondering, you can look at those and get signed up on Eventbrite or through the Discord and attend those sessions as well. And then after the Educate series, we'll be putting on a 4-week online hackathon. This runs very similar to all the other hackathons we've done in the past. If you've attended some of them, but kind of just putting on Chainlink, we're putting on some kind of challenges, and hackers and teams will get the opportunity to answer those for cash prizes. And then after the hackathon, we'll be putting on a 10-week-long accelerator, which kind of just helps provide guidance and funding to some of the top teams from the hackathon and get them from a startup to a full-fledged company. So here is the schedule I was talking about today. Is the Intro to Oracles and Chainlink session. Then the next session will be tomorrow, and that is using Chainlink. And then as you can see there, there's 5 other Educate sessions that we're putting on, as well as an AMA. Still kind of finalizing the details for that. But if you have not seen it, here is the announcement article on Medium that kind of just explains all of the different events throughout this partnership, as well as gives a more detailed schedule, as well as the place to sign up for all the different events. So feel free to check that out if you have not already. And then, yeah, so a little bit about Encode Club. Encode is a Web3 educational community. And kind of what this means is that we provide free and online educational events, primarily through different Educate series and boot camps, as well as AMAs. So this event today falls along the terms of one of our Educate series, which was kind of contains seminars and technical deep dives into various different protocols. And then after that, we have boot camps, which are very intensive Solidity workshops that kind of provide a really big deep dive into developing using Solidity, and typically will provide help for job placements afterwards at the conclusion of the boot camps. And then lastly, AMAs with some of the leaders and the biggest names in the crypto space. And then outside of just education, we also do a lot of focus on helping builders to build and providing them with investment to build as well. So we do hackathons, which are 6 to 12-week long sessions that help hackers and developers to earn tokens, internships, as well as cash, and also accelerators, as I mentioned before, as well as investments, which is kind of backing by leading angels and VCs, where we provide advice as well as funding to startups. And next up is a really cool thing that we offer as well is our talent portal, which is led by Laura, who's here on the call, and will give just kind of a short overview of kind of what that incorporates.
Hi, everyone. Very warm welcome to this series. I just wanted to quickly give you a bit of an overview of how we can support you on the job side of things. So we're very lucky in the sense that we're partnered with lots of amazing protocols and companies in the space who are looking for lots of different types of developers, engineers, and also non-technical people as well, ranging from kind of entry level all the way through to kind of more senior profiles as well. So we support them in obviously hiring, but we also support you as the community in getting those roles. So we do this in a few different ways. One being our kind of like one-to-one calls. So in those calls, everyone has the opportunity to take one of these calls with the team. So we can discuss career options in Web3, help you set some goals in achieving those goals, support you with building your CVs, your LinkedIns, your GitHubs, your Twitter accounts, and then supporting you through the application process and interview preparation. One of our biggest tools in helping you connect with these protocols is our Discord jobs channel. So I'd be very keen for you all to check that out. We post a number of jobs every single day with some of the best protocols in the space. So definitely check that out. And I'm going to pop my details into the chat. So if anyone is interested in chatting about looking for jobs in the space, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and we can set up a call.
Awesome. Great, Laura. Thank you for that overview of the talents section of Encode. And kind of last but not least, as I mentioned before, everything we do at Encode is free, global, and virtual, as well as numerous new in-person events that get announced as they come up. So really happy to be doing that. And if you're not sure where to start, feel free to find any of us on Discord and send us a quick DM and ask any question you have. We'll be happy to help. And if we can't help, we'll be really happy to point you in the right direction as well. And Vanessa did just kind of throw a URL there in chat. Feel free to open this up and kind of fill out the form. We'll have to know more about you and exactly what you want to get out of Encode, whether it be hackathons, jobs, or kind of accelerators, or whatever that may be. We'd love to learn more about you and see how exactly we can help you best. Yeah, it's a little bit about Encode as well as this partnership that we have going on with Chainlink. And we are very happy to have Amji here to present today. So she is the head of research at Encode. And so Amji, take it away.
Hi, thank you, Danny, for a kind intro. Let me share my screen. And meanwhile, everyone, please excuse me with a little of noise here. I'm actually in NFT NYC to attend the other events. I need to give the talks. And here I'm at the hotel lobby to give a session because I really wanted to meet every one of you. Everyone, I'm Amji, head of research of Encode Club. Happy to meet you all. Before jumping into the Oracles and Chainlink, I would like to ask two questions and cover that topic first. One is, what is blockchain and what smart contracts are, so that we know that why we need the Oracle, and also what Chainlink does. So let's quickly check together. I assume many of you already know the blockchain, so we will not go into deep dive. So here I want to touch more not the technical aspect, but more what blockchain does. So blockchains are computing infrastructure designed to facilitate one key function, which is highly trustworthy collaboration. You are executing the contracts. But in our traditional business, our most common way to establish trust is based on the brand. So you need to have a track record, credit score, and then you have a collaboration together, which has a kind of certain difficulties. In blockchain, we are enforcing these based on math-based trust, which is mainly a smart contract in many different protocol cases, so that we're gonna set up certain condition. So what is the smart contract in this case? And also Oracle, we're gonna see a new term called a hybrid smart contract. We're gonna jump into it a little bit to know what it is about. So smart contracts are computer programs that are hosted and executed on blockchain networks. So you kind of sign the contract there, and it will be executed as you predefined before. So you're gonna kind of predetermine all the conditions, and when the condition met, trigger gonna be triggered, and then the outcomes come. Smart contracts are very powerful infrastructure for automation because you don't need to run it with some central parties or a mediator. In this case, you kind of agree on something, but without some third party in between, you can execute these contracts when certain conditions met. Means that you are not controlled by central administrator, and also you don't need to pay certain fees. So this is introducing new kind of innovation of how to execute all the contracts. While there's a lot of this how to say benefits smart contracts bring, such as reducing the counterparty risk, increase the efficiency, low cost because you reduce the commissions, or provide different types of the transparency into the process. We want to kind of expand this type of collaboration, but then there comes a little of challenge comes, because 90% of use cases now, perhaps we're going to discuss, going to be connected to off-chain data, because in the end, we, how to say, execute the smart contracts on-chain, but perhaps they're using data from outside of the blockchain, so off-chain data, or they need to produce certain data and sending out to the off-chain. So that's this term called hybrid smart contracts. So hybrid smart contracts these are like in applications that consists of two different parts. One is what you are aware of, like smart contracts, and then which like the code that runs the or running on the blockchain. Sorry for the noise again. And then second thing is the decentralized Oracle network, which is, oh my God, they're not my keys though. Secure off-chain services that like this Oracle network is like providing a data, or like they're like delivering data, let's say. Are we gonna look into it a little bit more in detail? So TLDR, like a hybrid smart contracts combine code running on the blockchain, which is like on-chain part, and then with the data computation coming from like outside of the blockchain, which is the off-chain, which is kind of mixture. And this is the this enables a lot of different use cases. We're gonna look into together. So here, before jumping into it, like there's two different parts of like on-chain and off-chain. You may wonder like what is on-chain and off-chain. So let's check it together. So on-chain, like in on-chain, like different types of like components we can look into. So in on-chain, we can see that like it's maintaining a persistent ledger that provides the authoritative custody of users' assets and interacts with the private keys. So this is like a kind of on-chain activities, and it executes the final settlement, or like it's providing dispute resolution and guardrails to secure the proper functioning of the off-chain services. But then the off-chain decentralized Oracle network is providing different types, of course, different types of activity, of course. So like it's like a fetching, validating, securing, and delivering data from external APIs. And then it performs various types of like computation, and then those data can be like delivered to on-chain again. And then it relay outputs of smart contract to other blockchains or external systems. So all these like things, like we just mentioned that, so what Oracle perhaps gonna do is like kind of delivering the data in between, like on-chain, off-chain. But there's a like little problem. Perhaps you're thinking that how it can be secure. So blockchain Oracle problem outlines this kind of limitation of the smart contracts, that they cannot inherently interact with the data and system existing outside of their native blockchain environments securely, right? So like we're gonna check, so let's imagine there's like Alice and Bob, and they said that if the weather is sunny tomorrow, Alice gonna give the $20 to Bob. And then the weather data gonna be somewhere there, but before on-chain smart contract executing, they kind of need to check this condition, that if condition is met, and we need to have a like secure way to deliver that weather is correctly, you know, delivered to the on-chain, so that Alice or Bob can have the right result of their contract. All that comes like describing the Oracle problem. And then this is helping us, like a lot of use cases are actually connected to the real world data. And then the Oracle is also very like a background of like a lot of DeFi protocol, because they need the price data, and then also the weather data, all those kind of use cases, like you can like discover a little bit around, and then perhaps you're gonna find another use case which we never thought about. And then here, like one thing I want to also kind of mention is like a blockchain itself. Like you may like wonder why this is not trying to make Oracle itself on a native layer. We're gonna look into it a little bit later, so that if you have such question, please like keep it around a little bit. So like what does blockchain Oracle do? So blockchain Oracle is a like secure piece of like middleware. It's kind of infrastructure that facilitate communication between blockchain and any off-chain system. So it's including data provider, web APIs, enterprise backends, cloud provides, IoT devices, like all different systems, so that they can communicate with the blockchain properly. The Oracle takes on like several like key functions, like we can check together. So one is it's like a listening. So it listens, so it monitors the blockchain network to check if any users or smart contracts saying they're like, oh, I need the off-chain data. So then it listens. And what it's gonna do is like it extracts. So it's gonna fetch the data from one or multiple external systems, such as off-chain APIs, hosted by third party, for example. And then they're gonna extract the data. And then they format the data in a way that it can be like read by a blockchain. So they're like, it kind of trim the data, and then it can also validate, so that, oh my God. So cryptographic, so it's kind of generating kind of cryptographic proof attesting to the performance of an Oracle service using kind of the different combination of the data signing, blockchain transaction signing, such as. And then it also like the compute. This compute part is also like quite important if you're building some games with the variable random numbers, so that it can calculate and then it can bring the result of your computation. And then the third one is the broadcast. And then the broadcast part is this, it can assign and broadcast the transaction on the blockchain in order to like send data and any corresponding like proof on chain for consumption by smart contract. And then another thing is like an output, so which is kind of like it's sending data to external system upon the execution of the smart contract, which can like bring another like a set of the use cases. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we had a discussion like two slides back, like why blockchain like Ethereum or other like layer 1, layer 2 don't offer native Oracle solutions. So blockchain are highly secure and reliable because also it had like few specific design limitation, kind of like, you know, it's an isolated system so that it can fit all the conditions. So if you want to I'm sorry, I am a little bit distracted. So that so due to this like a limitation, we kind of need the Oracle separated the blockchain, because blockchain are not like really suited to answer the question of the all different data and collecting that, because they are more designed for decentralization, maintaining the integrity of consensus algorithm, try to kind of keep the rules getting executed. So if you're asking like, I don't know, so I'm in New York, like what is the weather in New York? This is like can bring some subjective view of it, and you need to compute like all different way to conclude like what is the weather in New York. And this is rather better to be separated than being in the native Oracle. So what could be then a risk of the centralized Oracle? Because as we said that the data feed should be secured, and of course like a decentralization going to be bring us different types of challenges that how can we prove. In the beginning, like perhaps people are going to think that if there's a like trusted party, like the data feed going to be much more safe. One and biggest like risk of the centralized Oracle is we're going to have a single point of failure. So entire point of the smart contract is to achieve like determinism through technological enforcement that contracts like terms as like opposed to probabilistic execution carried out by human enforcement. So to achieve this, like a blockchain cannot have any single point of failure, that they're going to be just like a one central oracles sending data and fail. So rather many oracles are experimenting different design of the decentralized oracle. And then like what is Chainlink doing? That's a good question. Many of you perhaps heard about Chainlink, because Chainlink is the most widely used decentralized Oracle network. It's currently securing like tens of billions in USD value for live application across the blockchains in different use cases. And also Chainlink itself is not a single Oracle network, but an ecosystem consisting of like a lot of different decentralized Oracle networks running in parallel. If you see, like there's like this is kind of giving a glimpse of like how like a Chainlink is trying to achieving and providing these like decentralized Oracle networks. There are several like things we can check. Let me a little bit see the screen bigger. Okay, so also like a Chainlink is trying to be also like open source, being an open source technology, like kind of allows the peer review that like a huge community can check, which kind of guarantee your security, right? Like by the community. And another thing is like they highly focus on like a quality of the data, because in the end, if you bring the just like data from some random places and if data doesn't fit, it can be $1 billion loss. Perhaps some of you were following like a DeFi recently, and you could say that Oracle is very, very important thing. And then the another aspect is like a decentralization, so that by doing so, they can have the kind of approved by their like a peer, and also like it's kind of contributing to the ecosystem. New people who are interested in Oracle gonna come, and this is still a little bit experimental, right? So kind of we need a how to say, like we need to kind of communicate, and which was very nice. Like last month in May in Berlin, there was actually in the beginning of June, there was a blockchain Oracle summit, and it was like chain agnostic summit that all different Oracle from different blockchain ecosystem came, and they were having a chat about best practices and what kind of challenges they have. And then let me quickly jump into the what kind of products also Chainlink provide. So in Chainlink, if you go to the Chainlink webpage, I recommend you to kind of read through, especially if you want to use the like Chainlink products. One is like a market and data feed we talked about. It can be integrated to like many different use cases, like such as like DeFi application. They need a price feed, or like a weather data, like if you're also betting on like future. And then like another thing is like a very variable random functions. So it kind of provides providing like NFTs or like on-chain gaming applications to make it fair and secure random number generator, so that it can be really random and it kind of proven by cryptographic solutions. So you can distribute like truly random NFTs, or like you can make a lottery system truly random using this very variable random function. And then another thing is like a proof of reserve. It's kind of enabling smart contracts to audit the true collateralization of any on-chain asset backed by off-chain reserve. This is very interesting. And another one called like a keepers, providing that developers a reliable, decentralized, and cost-efficient transaction automation service. And another one is like cross-chain interoperability protocol. It's an open source standard for multi-chain ecosystem, enabling cross-chain applications that can send messages and transfer tokens with commands across the multiple blockchain. And then there's like some kind of like different products that keep being built. So like if you go to if you read their white paper, you can see that like what kind of things are getting updated, and also like the new products are being provided. So what kind of use case, especially a lot of you perhaps came here because you're interested in attending our hackathons and building a startup, you're building some project and you think that maybe you need an Oracle. So we're gonna look into what kind of use cases we have. One thing is identity. So identity information can be verified in an automated privacy preserving manner. Just imagine that you graduate from somewhere and you had like a certification, and then from university you need the data, and those data should be securely verified, right? So this is like one of the cases you could use for certain certification. It could be actually used for many different things, because identity could be used for like insurance, like finance, like supply chain. So identity is one of the basic use cases for this Oracle. And then another thing is, of course, the huge use case is the finance. So these open like financial markets that are like a censorship resistant and globally accessible and transparent. If you didn't follow a recent like a DeFi, what's happening, perhaps you can search Oracle and DeFi for like the last maybe feed of the May and June. You may see that like a DeFi protocol, depending on how they implemented the Oracle service, they can face the certain types of the risk. This is really interesting to read, I think. And another thing is like supply chain. Supply chain, of course, we are moving something in real world, and then there's a multi-party is like involved, and they need a kind of different types of information. And to get it, perhaps they need to prove their ID, or they can perhaps like provide a off-chain data there, like where my goods are. So like it was in Italy one day, if it moved to the like, I don't know, Germany, then like those kind of data should be securely delivered to the chain, so that when this condition meets, certain types of like payments can happen. This is very important, so it can help you to tracking shipments, quality control, or like it can verify customer identities, as we said it in the first one. And then it can help you to settle the payments. And another interesting one is also like insurance. As you can imagine, insurance is very big market. And one of the basic thing insurance gonna require is, of course, your identity, but also a lot of different kind of off-chain data could be necessary to trigger certain insurance, how to say that, like following the policies. They need to check that if this accident happened in ABC conditions, right? So those could be secured through the Oracle, so that you don't need to have this like subjective view of the data. And another interesting is also like a marketing. In the marketing, they can use like a broad set of the off-chain data. Just like, let's imagine that if some YouTube video hits the, let's say Encode YouTube educate series hits the like, I don't know, million view, and then it gonna trigger some transactions there, like from smart contract, I don't know, we're gonna make some transactions and sending you like a, hey, we hit on-chain messages. Just that's amazing. Such as like for the marketing, there's a lot of different types of off-chain data they may need, and this is a great area to like explore around. And another one is like a governance. Governance is also like a kind of in that direction that within the community, perhaps you need to check the identities, or like you need to kind of check like certain tasks if they made it outside of the on-chain. If it's on-chain activities, it's fine. But if it's off-chain off-chain activities, you need a kind of this middleware to prove that it really happens, so that it triggered the profit sharing. Outside of this, there's like a lot of different use cases. It's just that we already mentioned that actually I just don't realize that I didn't write it about gaming or like an NFT. So when you're distributing the NFTs, you need like a random like you need to kind of randomize the order of your NFT. Or another thing is in gaming platform, a lot of different things you can apply. One thing is like this like randomizing stuff, but the second thing is in gaming, perhaps you want to connect them with the how to say like off-chain data. So the weather perhaps outside of the on-chain, so like outside of your game, maybe can influence your game. That can be very interesting, I think. And another thing is like from certain gaming to other ones, when you want to move the data to the other one, you can use the Oracle as the middleware, so that basically you are kind of producing your data, which gonna be like feeding the Oracle, and then this Oracle can provide this data to like all the other games or all the other things who want to use this for their product. So this is overall like what Chainlink doing and what kind of use cases based on like their products at the moment. There's like a wide range of the products to be discovered, and following workshops you can see that like we're going to run some of them more in detail. I think that's a great time to like running like learning Oracle, like especially following like all the incidents happening recently. I think Oracle become much more relevant, and it's like so timely to start this educate series, which is really, really happy for me. If you have any question, like feel free to send us. Perhaps I can take like 1-2 questions, but as I mentioned, I'm in New York now. I need to quickly run to other like venue to give a talk. One message I want to mention is like let's keep building. If you keep building, we will be always here to support you, answering all different questions. You can follow Encode Club and put notification on to follow or other activities. Vanessa, can you check perhaps like 1-2 questions that I can quickly answer?
So I don't actually see any technical questions you can answer, but the most common question so far has been, will the recordings will be uploaded? They will. They'll go on our YouTube, they'll go on our Twitter, they'll go on our Medium, they'll go on our Discord. If you're subscribed to any of those, you'll see the notification, you'll be able to review, to see the slides. And then tomorrow we have the second event in the series using Chainlink. We'll be joined by the Chainlink team, so make sure to not miss that one. The links are in chat. We'll also tweet about it, so make sure to grab a ticket. And we'll see you tomorrow at the same time, 5:30 GMT+1. And yeah, see you tomorrow, and make sure to stay tuned for the recording and the slides. Thank you, guys.